I should have tested this, but I'm not gonna. Fingers crossed. Do I clip you? I usually like to hold you. We'll clip you in. Hopefully this lighting is kind of cool. You get it together. If you're all caught up, you'll know that I have been heavily in the development phase of Project Elixir Book 2, Act 1, scene cards. We're working on the scene card. And the other half of Jenn Squared, Jenn, that goes without saying, is heavily in the production phase of the manuscript for Book 2 of Project Elixir. And I just wanted to come on here to talk about the epiphany I've had about the development phase versus the production phase, because I don't know if you know this, but I'm a hobby author, as is Jenn, and so we're learning more about the writing process and the different things that happen when you are writing a project, such as a trilogy of a fantasy romance genre book. So that's what I'm come on here to do, because I have another video in the pipeline, but it's a lot harder to edit, and this might be faster. So we're hobby authors, as I mentioned, which means that we don't have any deadlines, we don't have any editors, we don't have anybody who's on our tail asking us for more, which is really good because that alleviates the pressure, as both of us have 9-to-5s and generally interesting lives. That rhymed. We also don't have much experience, but that also means that with less experience comes more revelations and comes more perfect epiphanies, and I can apply some theoretical constructs to what we're doing to kind of lay the foundations of my understanding of how writing a book works, or what it means to be an author from my perspective. And I just love defining things. So since we're both planners, we both have the developmental phase or the planning period phase of writing, where we work on scene cards, we work on character profiles, we work on the 3-act story structure templates, general things that are going to help us build the story, and also gives us a chance to kind of tweak it before we get into manuscript so that the manuscript is a little bit stronger. Speaking of manuscripts, the production phase, or the writing phase, I suppose you could call it, where it's manuscript writing. It's where we put the pen to paper, write down the first version or second or third, depending on the draft number of the final work. And I already have another way to say it in my notes. I'm running out of daylight. Another way to think of it is, in developmental phase, you are in daydream land. You're in the what if moments, where you could possibly take your story into any direction. And if you're anything like me, as a planner, you write down every possible thing that you could do with your story. I'm gonna have to move soon, or I'm gonna have to switch the lighting. We'll figure it out. Okay, so production phase is where the notes lead into manuscripts. Depending on which draft, it could be the foundations of your story, or it could be the production of the final realization of your story. Now, I've never been in those final moments of editing. I have written a first draft of the manuscript for novel 1 of Project Elixir, but I haven't gone back to edit it properly. So there's very, very, very high chance that there's another phase that I just have yet to learn about and apply into this theoretical construct of what this might be like. The light is shifting so quickly. So being in the developmental phase right now of writing and thoroughly enjoying it, might I add, I really feel like I have a lot of space to think about not only how I can drive the story into book 2, but also of how I can strengthen book 1. While I've been developing Act 1, book 2, I have had to seriously raise the stakes of book 1. It's going up fast. Do I turn on a light? I'll turn on the light. Oh, there we go. Anyway, I don't know if that helped. I'm not checking. Since I've come up with so many ideas and I've had a lot of inspiration on the development of book 1 and how it could be strengthened, while I've been writing the first act of book 2, which I've probably said that 1,000 times by this point, I had a moment of wavering joy when I realized that book 2, act 1 just wasn't up to par with the level of detail, but also the strength that book 1 was starting to get. And the answer to those nearly negative feelings seems very obvious now, because I had a conversation with my other half, not my husband, Jenn. My trusty hobby author, equally delusional bestie. So Jenn is in a production mindset, obviously, as is the point of this video, the contrasts, right? Do you feel it? So Jenn reminded me of a mantra that we were telling each other while we were writing book 1, draft 1 together. And that mantra is, we'll fix it later. Book 2 is in an infant stage right now. And book 1 is at least, I'm not going to say adolescent, but prepubescent. So it's done a lot of growing versus book 2. Reasonable. That's the expectation, I would assume. While I'm in development for book 2 and getting so much inspiration from book 1 and just at least bringing it up in vibes to match the starting point for book 2, to have that seamless transition, I need to remember that I am going to have this opportunity to fix book 2 the same way that I'm fixing book 1. I don't know what book 3 is exactly going to look like. I have a very, very bare bones idea of what book 3 is going to look like. And now that I've started writing book 2 and it's really starting to come together, at least act 1, and I'm seeing the things that my characters are going to have to go through, I'm looking retroactively to book 1 and I'm like, all this being said, I do feel like I'm giving myself a lot of time with Act 1, Book 2 in development, and I'm really enjoying it. I think partially that's why I'm giving myself so much time. I feel like my revisions for scene cards, the general outline that I've given myself, the step-by-step of where scenes lead is a lot stronger than it was for Book 1. It might be excessive, I'm still not efficient, that I can guarantee you. But I'm hoping that that's going to lead to a stronger manuscript or potentially faster manuscript writing. I'll let you know what happens. We'll see what the comparison is. I just feel like it's a lot more intentional for book 2 rather than what it was for book 1, partially because I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't know what manuscript writing was. I didn't know what information I would need in scene cards. And I did sort of end up having to do the block method where you do act by act scene cards and flip into manuscript from there. But I wasn't prepared mentally for what scene cards would do for my manuscript, how they would help inform manuscript, and the kinds of things that I need as an author, hobby author, to be able to write a manuscript off of scene cards, if that makes sense. I essentially put the first draft of my scene in my scene cards, and then I pick it apart, judge it, and carry with me all of the knowledge from the manuscript that I had been writing, and I apply it. So it ends up morphing into something completely different on most occasions, but it really helps fuel manuscript for me. Honestly, not having a timeline and not having any deadlines, not having any goals of when I need to complete my scene cards, or having the desire to complete scene cards so that I can get into manuscript, and slowing that down has made it so much more enjoyable. And it's made it so that I look a lot closer. That's really fun. I really love fine details. I love the nuggets that you drop so that the reader, when they read it a second time, hopefully they realize, oh my gosh, I missed that the first time because I didn't know this was going to happen, or she was warning us all along. Those kinds of foreshadowing small snippets, like one sentence, I love those so much. And to be able to do those, yes, you can do it in manuscript. I've done it for book 1, absolutely, especially because I had scene cards planned out, so I knew where things were going. So I found ways to either bury the lead so that you could make the reader think it was going in one direction before it goes in another, or what am I talking about? Is that ADHD? So I have that opportunity because I'm taking my time. And I'm not rushing to be in production phase because I'm really enjoying the development phase. I know I'm gonna love production phase. I know I will. It just feels like things go by so much faster But I think that me taking my time now, not only appreciating it, but getting excited about it, will make production phase even better. I just think it's going to be such a stronger start to manuscript writing, having enjoyed the development phase and having planned and, got like kicking my feet excited over the things that are going on in first act. So we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. This is also partially so exciting because now that I know the beginning of book 2, I'm doing some revisions. I do still have to add some scenes. So there's still much more work to be done before I can head into manuscript writing because of my, arbitrary decision that book act 1 needs to be prepared before I get into manuscript. So there's more work to be done before I head into manuscript. But now that I know how book 2 starts, I've had to look back and justify the actions that need to happen in book 2 for things to make sense from book 1 to book 2. I really need to raise the stakes of book 1. Book 1, they are so far from the danger. They're so far from it, unbelievably far. I need to bring it way closer so that I can justify the actions and so that I can justify the preparations that were happening in book 1. Like there was some preparation for, danger. There was always a looming distant danger. The characters never really thought that they were going to be in danger. So I need to bring that closer because the way that book 2 has started, it is full on like Hunger Game level danger versus book 1, which is, like very Twilight, you know what I'm saying? There's still danger in Twilight, but yeah, it's much smaller scale danger because, they're like a group and then there's like some guy that comes in with his little group. It's just they don't match. Like it's not even the same genre, you know what I mean? They need to match. So because I've been developing book 2, I've gotten lots and lots of inspiration and feedback for myself for book 1, which is really great. And I'm really enjoying development phase. I've said that. I'm not currently editing manuscript 1, book 1 by any means. I'm not even close, if we're being honest. But every time I get inspiration, I write into my to remember when editing document, which is getting hefty. Yeah. She's getting big, but then I'll have some guidance for when it's time to fix her, manuscript 1. When it's time to fix manuscript 1 and fix it later, I'll know what I'm doing. I'll know what I'm doing because I've written down all of this inspiration, right? Makes sense. That makes sense. You didn't need to know that. You could have figured that one out. In any case, you can tell I'm very excited to have had this mini epiphany. I feel like it's a really good representation of my understanding of my writing process right now. And there's so much room to grow. There's so much to learn. Who knows? Maybe I'll figure out that there's 5 different writing phases or 42. I don't know. Do you know? I don't. Not me. I don't know because I haven't experienced it yet. And the pursuit of collecting experience is just so fascinating and so fun. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope that you enjoyed this revelation as much as I did. Obviously, I made a whole video about it. And if you relate, let me know. See ya. Bye.